USA and Mexico, the two juggernauts of CONCACAF, going at it again tonight in the Nations League semifinal. I'm going to get you guys ready for tonight's showdown here on Stars and Strikes.
And it's a goal for the United States. Le va a pegar al arco, busca el pelotazo,
Simplistic, you're listening to Stars and Stripes.
Yes, guys, welcome back to Stars and Strikes. Thank you guys for joining. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on social media and everywhere where you can get your podcasts. Just me today. Ryan could not make it. This is just going to be our preview for the Mexico game tonight. Absolutely massive game for both sides. BJ Callahan, the interim coach for the U.S., against Diego Coca, the manager for Mexico, under a lot of fire. And when you look at the two states of these nations in a soccer term, of course, or football, whatever you want to call it, for U.S., we obviously have the massive positivity, all the excitement surrounding Fuller and Balogun. He's going to be involved tonight. But then there's also the disappointment of Leeds United getting relegated, all the different injuries that we've had, Giovanni Reina and Borussia Dortmund just missing out on the Bundesliga title, choking it on the final day. Since the World Cup, there hasn't been quite a lot of positivity for the player pool. A lot of players sitting on the bench, not getting the minutes we'd want. But when you look at Mexico, it's a heck of a lot worse. I mean, the players are universally aren't playing great. A lot of them aren't getting minutes as well. And when they have been together, they have not looked good under Diego Coca. Since the World Cup, it's been an absolute disaster. The U.S. dominated in the games that they've played, those friendlies. Mexico have been scaping by, and there is a lot of pressure on Coca. Mexico needs this win a whole heck of a lot more than the U.S. does, because Diego Coca is going to get probably this tournament and then the Gold Cup to save his job. BJ Callahan, as we mentioned before, he's the interim head coach. Anthony Hudson took over. The team was actually playing pretty well under him, and there were some talks and rumblings. Maybe he's going to be in the consideration to be the next head coach of the United States. He got an offer to go back to the Middle East, probably on a boatload of money, like a bunch of people, and he's gone. So BJ Callahan takes over, and he's going to ride throughout this summer for the Nations League and for the Gold Cup. He was an assistant under Greg Berhalter, so I think we can expect to see a little bit of the same. Sorry, that was my dog barking in the background if you could hear it. But he's never been a head coach before at the professional or international level. So what are we going to see? Who knows? It's a huge opportunity for him to try and bolster his resume, because he's going to look a whole heck of a lot more intriguing for MLS jobs, even USL jobs, that Nations League champion on his resume. When you look at the squad for the Nations League and for the semifinal and possible final, I guess the first things that stand out has to be the Balogun's in the squad. Obviously, we got the number 9. Super exciting. We did a whole episode about how he can take this U.S. team to the next level. So if you want to go back and listen to that, I think it was our last episode that we put out. Make sure to check that out. A couple new guys in there. Taylor Booth is a player I'm really excited to see. I don't think he gets in from the start, but we could definitely see him come off the bench. He's had a fantastic season for FC Utrecht over in the Eredivisie in the Netherlands. I guess the two big omissions would have to be Mark McKenzie first. Center back has had a spectacular season for Genk. There are rumors of a shoulder injury, but he scored in like 5 straight matches, was playing really well over in the Belgian league, and he was left out. And that has to do with the fact that he hasn't really been very good for the U.S. He played in that Nations League semifinal against Panama. I believe it was Panama, right? Panama or Costa Rica. Last time out in the last Nations League where the U.S. went on to win, and he really struggled. Same thing as Mexico, just had a torrid time, and that's kind of been the story of his U.S. men's national team career, but he's an extremely talented player, and I thought he deserved to be in at least one of the squads because he got left out of the Gold Cup squad as well, and I think that was, I think he got snubbed. I guess that's the only way to put it. He definitely should have been on the plane for at least one of these tournaments and deserves a look. The other one is John Brooks, and the reality is when you look at the player pool, a lot of the players aren't playing. And that includes Chris Richards, a guy I am extremely high on, and I think has a real shout to be a starter here in tonight. But John Brooks has been starting week in and week out in the Bundesliga for Hoffenheim, and his form has really picked up. He was in that preliminary squad, and putting him in that preliminary squad thought at least one of the tournaments that he would get in, and he didn't get into either. So, if I were him, I'd be pretty upset because I think that there is a genuine, realistic argument that he is maybe the best center back option that we have right now. Maybe. I mean, I wouldn't say that definitively. But with the current injuries and the fact that there's no left-footed center back that we have other than Austin Trusty, who's still unproven at this level, I think John Brooks was the other major snub for me. But yeah, let's just get into tonight's match. Obviously, tactically, we don't necessarily know what we're going to see. Under Greg Berhalter, we saw the 4-3-3 coming into it with Tyler Adams at the base of the midfield triangle. Obviously, he's not here, out injured. Missed much of the end of the season for Leeds, and probably one of the biggest reasons that they got relegated is that they didn't have him anchoring their midfield. And then the three guys up top under Anthony Hudson in the friendlies previous, we saw a 4-2-3-1 with a player playing in the 10. Someone player like Gio Reyna. So it's going to be curious to see what Callahan goes with. There's no prior knowledge or prior experience from him to go off of to see what he is going to do and how he wants to line up, how he wants the team to play. I'd imagine it's probably going to be similar to both, so I don't think it's going to be anything too different. He said in his previous press conferences that continuity is important, and he wants to stress that. So obviously that will be, I don't think we're going to see anything too differently. When you compare the two nations right now, the U.S. is just at a much higher level. The players are playing at bigger and better clubs. There's just a lot more talent in the player pool. You have the likes of Christian Pulisic, Gio Reyna, Fuller and Balogun, Brendan Aronson, Timo Weah, all these guys in an attacking sense, ones that can really strike fear into an opposition. And I don't see anyone really in that Mexican, not only the player pool, but also in the squad. Chucky Lozano might be the only guy that you have to be like, we need to make sure we watch out for him because he's a game changer. Nobody else in that Mexican roster or squad is that person, and Lozano isn't even in the squad. Antuna, yeah, they got Antuna, you got Santi Jimenez, maybe had a good season over in the Dutch league, and Alexis Vega, but none of those guys really are game changers. They're just not. And that's where Mexico is. There's no Chicharito. There is no Giovanni Dos Santos. There's no Carlos Vela in this squad that can go and win you a match with the moment of magic. And that's where Mexico is really, really struggling. And I think the pressure is on. Over the last 5 matches, the U.S. have been the better team in almost all of them. 2 wins and 3 draws. It's been a while since Mexico has gotten the better of the U.S. men's national team. And it might be a while longer before they do as well. But anyway, let's get back to tonight's match. Starting 11 prediction time or preference time for tonight's game. In goal, I think it's Matt Turner. He's the number one. He hasn't played a ton with Arsenal, obviously, this season, but I think there's going to be a real conversation to see if he still maintains that starting position nailed on going forward. The likes of Ethan Horvath now being back in the Premier League, Zach Steffen getting continual minutes down in the championship. He's going to be a player that gets a move. Maybe Matt Turner does go somewhere else this season now that Arsenal's in the Champions League and he no longer has those Europa League games to go. Left back, pretty nailed on. Anthony Robinson, that's his role. Coming off a really good season for Fulham. He's not losing his spot anytime. I think a hole in the squad is who backs Anthony Robinson up, a left-footed player, but yeah, but I think he's solid, one of the best left backs, if not the best left back outside of Alphonso Davies in CONCACAF. Going over to right back, Serginho Dest. There is an argument for Joe Scally to start because he's actually been playing, but right now I think Dest is just on another level. What he gives us going forward is really impactful. He's a player, big tournament, big opportunity for him. The only minutes he's gotten this since the World Cup have basically been when he's come in for a national team camp. Remember, he left AC Milan when they still had Europa League when they still had Champions League and Serie A games to come play with the US in the domestic-based camp. So he's a player that's definitely has an opportunity to get some eyes on him and get a move that he really needs, because he really just needs to be playing minutes at the age he was at. To the center backs, this is the biggest question marks for me. Who's the starting pair? The first guy I've gone with is Chris Richards. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of Chris Richards, an extremely talented guy. We saw what he was able to be at Hoffenheim. It hasn't quite worked out since he's gone to Crystal Palace, just hasn't played. Unfortunately for him, Patrick Vieira is no longer the manager there. So he's been with Roy Hodgson, and just he's a player that also could need a move because he's not playing. The manager who brought him in isn't there. And that's just the sad reality of when just in sports, when a new coach comes in, you might not fit exactly what that coach is trying to do. And that's the biggest problem, is he hasn't been playing. Alongside him, I've gone with Miles Robinson. Back from that injury, obviously missed out the World Cup due to that Achilles injury, but big, strong, a lot of pace, comfortable on the ball, which is why I went for this pairing specifically. There's an argument for Walker Zimmerman. You could use the experience. We know he's solid. You know what you're going to get from Walker Zimmerman. Maybe an Austin Trusty. He was really impressive when he played back in a couple friendlies ago, coming off a really good season for Birmingham City. Left-footed player, comfortable in position, big, strong. But I think this is probably just too big of a moment to throw him in to a game against Mexico before he's proven it on a competitive level. So that's why I've gone for Richards and Robinson. Moving on into the midfield. This is where the formation kind of really kicks in. You know, we talked about how under Greg Berhalter, we saw a 4-3-3. Anthony Hudson, it was a 4-2-3-1. I've gone with the 4-2-3-1 formation here with a double pivot in central midfield because there is no Tyler Adams. So with that, I've gone with Yunus Musa and Wes McKennie playing in that double pivot, one going forward, one holding the ball. I do think Yunus Musa has the ability to play in the 6, but I think this allows them to both use their athleticism and be more dynamic. Could we see a guy like Luca Della Torre come into here? Yes, but I think you just get as many attacking options on the field as you possibly can. Let them run at the back line and create opportunities for the big man up front. Going into the attacking areas, I want to see Gio Reyna in the 10. I think that is where he gets the best out of him. Get him the ball in space. Let him beat players on the dribble. Use his passing ability, his vision to set up players on the wings. Left wing, first name on the team sheet has to be Christian Pulisic. Yes, he isn't playing for Chelsea, but still at the end of the day, he's the best player. Or is he? No, I still think he's the best player that we got in the team right now. He's the game changer. Probably going to be wearing the captain's armband this time around. So Christian Pulisic, get in, mate. We know he steps it up on the national team. He brings it to his game to a whole other level when he's wearing that number 10 for the USMNT. Over on the right side, I've gone with Timo Weah. It's been a pretty good season. He at least is playing, but he's playing a lot of right back in the back 5 for Lille. So I think this is an opportunity for him to show what he has going forward. I think he'll really link up well with the guy that I've gone for up top. And Weah brings that pace. We know he likes to take players on, can get in behind the defense, whip in crosses. So I think he's an X factor. He was spectacular in that Dos Cero game in World Cup qualifying. I believe it was in Columbus a couple of years ago when Christian Pulisic came off the bench and scored the go-ahead goal. I want to see that same kind of player that we saw there and at the World Cup. And up top, I think you have to start Balogun. Yes, Pepe's playing well, but Florian Balogun scored 20 goals in a top 5 league in Europe. He is the most talented, most gifted striker that we've arguably ever had. He can truly have it all. Score with his left foot, right foot, inside the box, outside the box, with his head. We did an entire video breaking down just how he can take this team to the next level, and I think you have to start him. The argument for Ricardo Pepi is possibly the fact that he's played with these players before, but I think you bring him off the bench. If it's not working with Balogun up top, you bring Pepi off the bench for something different. Pepi's going to be hungry. I think that is a spectacular thing to have coming off the bench against Mexico, a country that Pepi could have represented. So he's going to be playing with the fire, whether you bring him on in place of Balogun or you bring him on as a 2-striker system and they're able to try and work off one another. That could be really, really interesting. But yeah, I'll just go over that team once again. Matt Turner in goal. Across the back line, Anthony Robinson, Chris Richards, Miles Robinson, Serginho Dest at right back, then into midfield, Musa and McKennie in a double pivot. And then going into the forwards, Christian Pulisic on the left, Gio Reyna in that center attacking mid, number 10 role, Timo Weah out on the right side, and Florian Balogun up top for the United States. All right, so how do I see this playing out? Who the hell knows? New coach. Just kidding. I think I said it earlier. It's going to be similar to the way that we saw them play under Greg Berhalter and under Anthony Hudson. I don't think we're going to see anything too crazy, but I do think that this U.S. team is going to bring it to Mexico. They have to bring it to Mexico. The quality is on your side. You have the better players, the players that are playing better, and the players that can really change a game and strike fear into the opposition that Mexico doesn't have. This is not the Mexico team that's going to dominate possession and that you're going to have to absorb wave after wave after wave and hit them on the counterattack. You're going to have possession. You're going to have to be able to build up and really break down that back line. And I really do think that this team can do it. The pressure is off of them. And that could be a danger, though. Mexico being hurt and hungry could be a dangerous thing. But at the end of the day, I think the U.S. win 2-0. 2-0 again. I'm going to say that's going to be my score prediction. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening and joining us here today. Let us know in the comments below your score predictions, how you think this match is going to play off, who you want to start, maybe what that center back pairing is going to be like. Is Pepi the guy? Should he be starting over Balogun? He shouldn't. But yeah, hit us up on social media. It is a great way to interact with us at Stars and Strikes Pod. Join the conversation, join the community. It's going to be a lot of fun. Also, make sure to stay tuned on the YouTube channels, social media, and wherever you get your podcasts. We got a lot of awesome Nations League content coming out for you guys. Post-game shows, Instagram lives, the whole shebang. Make sure to stay tuned. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Go, USA. That's all we got for you on this edition of Stars and Strikes.
This is the place to be for anything and everything USMNT. Check out our other content on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever else you get your podcasts.
Make sure to hit like and subscribe. And also hit us up on social media as we follow the boys on their quest for glory in Qatar. We will see you real soon.